Hello and welcome to episode 115 of Masters of the Forge, Dynasty Edition. So there's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of primetime drama going on today. We're back on a regular recording schedule, which is nice.
Yay!
I guess. So Jason, it's been about a week and a half or so since we last talked. What are you up to?
Has it been a week and a half? Yeah, I guess it has. Okay. So what have I been up to? I went to the opening of the new Warhammer store in Corpus Christi.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was.
That's not the new super duper one. This is just a regular store, right?
Yeah, it's a regular store. The Weekender is set for next weekend for the one up in Dallas Fort Worth. Now this is one of the small one-man stores. So I didn't get any of the free swag because I got there at 1:15, 1:20, and the store opened at noon. Supposedly there was like a line outside the door. The place was packed. There were a lot of people who had checked in that I actually knew, but left before I got there. So they showed up, got the swag, and then took off. So, yeah. I don't know.
From what you tell me, though, it's like it was pretty packed, anyways. Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing that they left.
Yeah. Well, they had the manager, and then they had some guy who was like upper level management or whatever, one of the area managers, and he was there helping. And he's like, he said, I have the air conditioner set at 64 and it's still hot in here. So,
yeah. It's a lot of BTUs. That's a lot of humans.
Yeah, a lot of people. They said it was pretty crazy. But I did pick up the Terminator Captain, and because I bought something, they gave me a Warhammer pin. So that was pretty cool. Ooh. So now I have something. If I had a battle journal, I guess I could use that. I don't know. Anyways, the place was packed, so I didn't get a game in because, that wasn't happening.
Right,
there wasn't a lot of room. They had 3 tables set up, and the 40K tables being played on, but I mean, the place was packed. But I met some really nice people, some cool people. Met some guy, let me see, hold on, I've got notes here. I think his name was Wes or Wesley. I'm friends with him on Facebook now. But he has a salamander.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah. Well, he may be. If you're listening, dude, sorry about that. Anyway, he's got a salamander army, and he's one of those that has decided that the salamanders is where it's at. I mean, he bought a Leviathan. He has the what's the special character that's a dreadnought? Ashmantle?
Yeah, Brayarth Ashmantle.
Yeah, he has that model. He just decided that he went like Forge World all the way. The Salamanders is where he's at. So that was pretty cool talking to him. He's picked up like he has a Contemptor Dread that's the Salamander one and some other stuff. So that was kind of fun. Met his brother-in-law who actually plays Horus Heresy stuff, but I don't remember his name. Met some other people that are listening to like the Horus Heresy audiobooks. There was a guy from... Well, hold on. There were a bunch of people I've met that were like... They'd been out of 40K since at least 5th edition. So they skipped 6th and 7th. They stopped in 5, or there was one guy who said that he'd last played, I think, in 3rd edition. So that was kind of cool.
Wow.
It was cool to meet people who are like, yeah, I'm coming back because now we actually have the support in our area. So that was kind of nice. And there was another guy there who was playing with a Chaos Space Marine army, and I know him from somewhere, but I just don't know where. Maybe from the CK Studios workshop, or maybe from when I lived up in Denton or something. But I was looking at him, and I knew the guy, but I just didn't remember who the hell he was, and I didn't want to say anything about it. So anyway, so that was kind of my going and visiting GW stores. But I have actually done some hobby, surprisingly or not. Let's see. I built a few Death Watch dudes. For
well,
my,
we've established that you are a man of leisure now, so you
hey
can
man,
do anything you want.
The semester starts up again tomorrow. Yay! I'm so looking forward to it. Yeah. Anyway, so my leisure time ends in 22 hours. No, wait a minute. It opens at midnight. I have 13 more hours of leisure. There we go. Rad.
That's awful.
So anyways, I built a few Death Watch dudes for my detachment. Because I got the book, and I've got my Death Watch captain that I built based on your chapter, and cool. I thought, I need to go through and give this guy some friends, and so I decided I'm going to go ahead and build. I built a few guys that are all running combi meltas and power swords because I kind of want. I started reading through the codex and figuring out, how specialized it is, how everyone has to, every veteran unit has a job, either it's like a unit that's is anti-Xenos or maybe anti, power armor or anti, whatever. And so I said, I'll go ahead and do something with all combi meltas and power swords because that could be kind of a decapitation strike, going after the power sword guys that are maybe the captains in or leaders in a Chaos Space Marine army or something like that.
Makes sense.
I was trying to figure out what I could do. It was an idea I had for my my Mantis warriors that I will be doing. I'm just still figuring out the airbrush and whatnot. Which leads me to the Corvus Black Star. I think I showed you pictures, right?
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go for like the box art scheme, which is very much a red and black and a silver that is almost eye-hurtingly bright. Wait, did that conjugate correctly? Whatever. Anyways, so I'm going for that kind of scheme. And I'm not sure about the giant red stripe on the wings, but I'm going for this kind of a black to blue fade from the front to the back. Getting that real bright silver color on the Inquisitorial rosette, really trying to do that. I'm just trying to figure out if that red stripe is what I want. I've done a couple of panels in red, though, so that's been nice to break that up. Let's see. I still have some more hobby stuff, sorry. I stripped the Sicarans that I had for my Blood Ravens because I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with my Blood Ravens. They're, I love the army, but my painting has gotten so much better.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah. And it's not like we were talking about on Discord, like there's a big difference between painting over orcs and painting over space marines. Like when I have a unit that I'm like, well, that could be a little bit better, I just do another layer over top it. Yeah. I'm not sure how easy that is with space marines.
Well, I dropped them in simple green and water, so I basically cut it about 1-to-1. And then just took a toothbrush, and I managed to get most of the red paint off and the white paint off. In fact, I took off a lot of primer too, so yeah, some of it had to be reprimed, which was fun. And I've managed to, it looks as though what's there is just very, very thin, whatever's left over, so I don't have a problem going over that because it's not that thick. But I've reprimed them. I'm going to start working on them this week, hopefully. I also, hung out with my wife during my time of leisure and watched the Lost in Space reboot, which I'm not going to talk about. But I built a Breacher squad during that time, which meant that I glued my fingers to each other more than I watched the show. It got pretty bad. Not gonna lie, those Mark III Breachers from Forge World are kind of rough.
Is it just that they were like covered in release agent, or?
I think what it is
What's up with
is
them?
that the molds are old. And so, I found some I actually found parts of the mold still in them, which sometimes happens with some of those resin molds. And it's just some of the stuff is not, it's just old molds, and I need to sit there and I had not worked with that before. And so I really should have gone in with like a Dremel or a file or something and really worked through to give myself some level areas. And I tried doing it with regular like gel crazy glue or super glue, and it just wasn't holding because it's still rather thin. And so I moved over to, what was it, Gorilla super glue, which is a little bit thicker. And so I was just putting a little bit more, and it would actually, instead of just bonding the two areas together, it would also kind of create something else. I probably could have done like simple green, green stuff, and that probably would have worked as well. It's just the edges just weren't as smooth as they could have been. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Let's see. I did some magnetizing the armatures. This is hilarious. I put some of the magnets in incorrectly because I'm a pro. Yeah. Well, because like I went through, I was like, okay, this is perfect. And then one of them, the magnets were all, let's see, let's try not to do radio edit there. The magnets just weren't getting it, and I realized later that I just popped them in incorrectly. So now I got to go back and fix them. But I'll do that sometime this next week. And I've kept practicing with the airbrush. I'm getting better. I'm now at the point where I need to learn how to take better pictures. Like the Macromat is great, but I need to go through and I guess use less aperture. I'm getting too much light in my pictures, so. But I talked with Justin about it from the It Will Not Die podcast, and he mentioned that was probably the issue. So I got to figure out how to do that on my phone. So,
do you have an Android or an iPhone?
I'm running an iPhone.
Then I have no idea.
Yeah. Well,
the Android you can. I'm not sure. I actually don't think it's an actual aperture setting. It simulates an aperture setting. So like when you tap, if you tap the screen on the Android, it will come up with the lightness slider, and you slide it up and down to get it darker or lighter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's like a software darkening. I don't think it's an actual aperture.
Oh, I have a feeling that's probably the same here. It's essentially post-production, but in real time.
Real time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yay!
Exactly.
But yeah, I'll figure that out. I don't know. I enjoy painting and whatnot, and then going through and taking the photos afterwards is like, oh yeah, I'm doing this just to show people I'm like doing something. So, although there have been a couple of times I've been really happy with, I can actually show people like, hey, look, I actually, have crazy stuff I've done. So Right. But yeah, that's my hobby.
That's fun, dude. That's fun. Yeah, you got quite a bit done. You made the best of your leisure time. That is good.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
I'm afraid it's going to go away. I'm afraid it's going to go away in 12 hours, 13 hours. The class opens up at midnight, and there's always that one student who starts up at, after having a long night. It's like, I'm going to start class now, and then I'm going to come off my high. So, yeah.
That person, let me talk about that person. That person is out of their damn minds. That is not a proper way to student. That person has forgotten how to student.
Well, I know.
You wait until midnight the day before the class ends, then you submit all of your work.
Oh man,
that is how you student. I don't understand what this person's thinking.
Well, it's how can I say this? The class has it's for people in my major. So almost every one of the students I know. And I looked over the list and thought, I know what that person's going to do. I know what that person's going to do. So I'm going to have someone who will finish all of the class by next Friday. and I have one person who will wait until the very last minute. So,
maybe the last minute person wants to have a good summer. Maybe they'll surprise you with getting all of their work done ahead of time.
Are you going to sell? Are you going to sell me a beachfront property in Arizona also?
No, I would never do that. Because then you're talking about the Rio Grande, right?
It doesn't go through Arizona. It goes through Colorado and New Mexico, and then into Texas.
Oh, okay.
And
well, anyway,
it's actually really nice in New Mexico.
There's no beachfront property then. Then yeah, that's right. Unless you talk about the whole thing.
Oh well, yeah.
Like the desert.
It's
like a giant beach. Anyways, what have I been working on? So I finished up most of my orcs. I had that 50 or so model group that I was working on. 36 boys, most of them stick bombers. They had the metal pieces from that old kit.
Yeah.
9 knobs. Those are just the proper like heavy armor knobs. What I wanted to do is give them a whole bunch of weird weapons. So with 8th edition, we had the inclusion of the Powa Stabba, which is one of the bits in there that most people just used it as a choppa until they just randomly came out with rules for it, which is really, it's a cheap little like +1 strength little, like I think it's like, I forget what the stats are on it, but it's got some manner of AP and stuff on it, so it's cute. So I did 2 guys. This is in the knobs
box?
Yeah.
I'll have to go look at that because I do have a knobs box. All right.
Yeah, it's like an underslung stabby weapon that is powered, so it's really interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that bit. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I did 2 models with kill saws, just because I really don't have any with kills. Again, people were just using it as a choppa before, so now it's a kill saw, which I think is like 2 damage, -4 AP, -1 to hit, ×2 strength. So yeah, so I did that. And just 1 guy with a power claw, and then 2 guys with big choppas, and 2 guys with combi scorches. So
yeah,
there's a lot of models there. Painted those up, and I also repainted the war boss. What was his name? Well, whatever the case, it's an old war boss with a big choppa that I had before, and I gave him a new big choppa and gave him a new head from the Mega Knobs kit, and just made him look a little bit nicer. Painted him up in the same orange as the rest of the Crumpin squad, and that is ready to go. About 1,000 points worth of stuff. No, not that last time. How much do we have? I've painted about 1,500 points of stuff so far this year. Pretty happy. So in the meantime, I was sent the Night Valiant as part of the pre-release. So so I kept that so I could add it to my Imperial Knight Army. I built that. I left the panels and stuff off to paint later because it's just so much easier to do it that way. But I did an article on Frontline Gaming. It hasn't been published yet, which is really interesting. So we'll see. And I also did about a 3,000 word essay on playing Imperial Knights narratively, which also hasn't been released. I think Reese just wants to release his competitive articles first.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Last time there was at least one person complaining, like, oh, but what about a regular article? Like, oh, well, Cry Me River. So I guess that might be it. Yeah. So that was cool. I took Thursday off because I was bored with work, so I took Wednesday off, and that's when I wrote that article.
Yeah.
And also did a little bit of touching up on the on my Black Library submission. We haven't heard anything back from them yet, but I had some inspiration, so I was just touching that up.
Yeah.
So I started building the last of the orcs. So I have 2 weird boys and a box of Meganobs. It's the actual box of Meganobs from Games Workshop, the new plastic kit that they came out with most recently.
Yeah.
I must say that I am really impressed with these models.
Yeah.
I wish I'd done a little bit of thinking before I put them together, but hopefully, this can help you if you build these, you being everybody out there. Because this kit, there's a lot of thought that went into this kit. It's not. So first of all, build the bodies separately. So each sprue has a body on it. Go ahead and build them one at a time, because I think that it would be easy to get the legs mixed up and the flanks and the sides mixed up. And even though they did put effort into making the pegs all different shapes, I would just go ahead and build the bodies one at a time.
Okay.
The arms don't matter. They can go on whomever. And the heads obviously don't matter. They can go on whomever. There's no... The big mech... the one that you turn into a big mech can be any of them, so it's not that's not a big deal either. Now, what's really interesting is that the hands are tight fit pegs. So, and also, bits are not reused between weapon types. So the kill saws all use different bits. The power claws use different bits. And the guns all use different bits. The only thing that you have to choose is what combi weapon you have. So you have to choose either combi Scorcha, combi rocket, or combi shooter.
Okay.
Or twin shooter, whatever they're calling it. So you can actually slide out and slide in very easily between combi plus power claw, or dual kill saw, or actually, if you're going with the Big Mech, you can actually slide out the Big Mech weapons as well. So the custom Mega Blasta.
Okay.
So even though yes, you do have to choose between the Shuda, the Scorcha, or the Rocket. You don't, if you wanted to try out the kill saws, if you wanted to give your Big Mech a different handheld weapon, you can. So, and you don't have to glue it. So just keep that in mind when you're putting those hands together. Don't glue them to the arms, because you don't have to. My 2 regular Meganobs, I did end up gluing the combi Scorches on, even though I'd rather have the option to go double kill saw at some point. It's fine. Like I said, I accidentally started doing that, and at that point I was just like, whatever. But the Big Mech, I have it set up where he can have anything. He can. All of his hands are swapped out, and I'm going to add. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to put a magnet on top of his backpack, so he can either have that boss pole if he's a regular Meganob, or the custom force field, or the, what is it called? I always forget what this dumb thing is called. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what it's called. The Teleportablasta.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That weapon's an assault weapon, and so is the Combi Scorcha, so you can give him a Combi Scorcha and a Teleportablasta, and he can just advance and shoot everything on 6s, which is great.
Yeah.
Why not, right? Well, except the Combi Scorcha, that automatically hits.
Yeah.
It's so many points, I don't care. Whatever. It's fun.
Well, there's a certain point where you just say, I don't care how many points, it just looks cool. You know?
Exactly. Well, it does look really cool.
And there's one Sikaran variant. What was it? The big plasma one. I can't remember the name of it. That everyone I've talked to has said, "Oh, it looks amazing. It doesn't do anything on the table, but it looks amazing."
Yes. So yeah, I absolutely love that kit. It's worth it. I don't even know nor care how much it costs. I want to get more of them, even though I already have like 18 meganobs in addition to these. I don't care. I want more of this plastic kit. If you've already got metal meganobs or custom meganobs you've customized by, murdering Space Marine Terminators like I do yourself a favor and just give these a chance, because they are super great. They're amazing. I love them.
Hold on. Let me rephrase this. If you have orcs, you need more orcs. No, really, you do. And here's some more orcs for you. There you go.
Exactly. We're helpful. We're helping. We're helpers.
Yeah. I mean, you have how many points now? 30 something thousand?
30 something thousand. It's a lot.
Which is, I think for an orc army is what, a moderate size?
It's reasonable. It's reasonable.
Yeah.
I have no shame. There's no shame in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now, that in the great thing, it also comes with a little what do you call it? A runt, a grot oiler, and he's got an actual oil squig.
Oh, really?
So, it's a squig under his arm, and it's got a hose attached to its face.
Yeah. And
there's an aperture at the end of the hose, so he squeezes the squig and oil comes out of its face. It's only the greatest thing that ever has been. So this kit is amazing. You need one. I know I've pontificated about it for quite some, for the past 10 minutes now, but I will never stop thinking this is awesome. So
yeah.
All right. Anyways, so Meganobs. I also have the two weird boys. One weird boy is the Auric Weird Knob Shaman, which
oh yeah,
I won that at the portal a while back, and I haven't painted with it, or I haven't done anything with it yet. So I'm gonna do that, and then I have a weird boy that a friend gave me a while back that he made. It's one of the old metal, shamans,
right?
Orc shamans, and he modeled a Space Marine with his arms and legs and everything. All of his appendages are off, and they're glued back to his body using Necron glowy bits.
Right.
So it looks like he's coming apart at the seams.
Wait.
With energy.
This. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really cool conversion.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I haven't put it together. Well, okay. The reason I haven't painted it yet is because I actually already have 3 weird boys. So, it's this is going to make 5 weird boys, so I can officially fill out an entire command. Auxiliary command detachment, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The 5 HQ detachment. I can officially have that many weird boys once I paint these. But that'll be cool. Looking forward to that. So I'm gonna paint those at the same time as I paint the Meganobs, and that'll be all of my orcs painted. I have a remains of a old 2nd edition Ball Predator.
Yeah.
That I was going to use for my orcs, but I am actually not 100% sure what I'm doing with that right at the moment. So I'm just going to call that bits right now, as well as I have a Goliath rock grinder from the
from the Gene Stealers?
Stealer cults. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So but again, I am not 100% sure what I'm actually going to do with that. So that again, I'm going to kind of call that bits. I'm not going to call that unpainted orcs.
Yeah.
So again, once I have finished with these 5 models, that will be my orcs done. So I'm super excited about that. Lastly, I have been engaging with people on Twitter. So I've been trying really hard to actually pay attention to Twitter. Okay, maybe not really hard, but I've been trying to do stuff on Twitter, and because that's where all the authors are. That's where a lot of our listeners are. So
right.
At least our younger listeners, maybe not super young listeners, but are not 40-year-old listeners. A lot of those are on Twitter. Anyways, someone started up a 6-color challenge. So
what is that?
You take 6 pots of paint,
right,
and you have to paint a model with just those 6 pots of paint.
Ooh.
And they're specific pots of paint. So it has to be, this time around it was an orc boy. It has to be 1 green, 1 silver, 1 black, 1 gray, 1 red, and 1 yellow.
Okay.
So so I had to mix my own browns, had to mix my own, like I tried to kind of get a blue going on, and I think I kind of succeeded at that. And the different shades you have to put your own shades together.
Right.
So it's a really interesting challenge. I'm almost done. I also had some 2nd edition boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same old box set that you got the 2nd edition plastic grots in.
Right.
So I'm painting him up. I've almost got him finished. I'm pretty happy with it so far. So I'm going to post that up on Twitter later on today. What else am I working on? Okay, so let's talk about what I have going on here on out. So we have the Apocalypse game in 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks?
Right.
3 weeks.
I have my ticket.
Nice. Looking forward to seeing you. I have to clean my hole upstairs, which is fine. Don't feel bad about it. Cause it had to happen. And if anybody wants a cat, I'm paying $300. So contact me. I will drive hours. Like if you're 2 hours away, I will drive this cat to your house and I will give you $300. No questions asked. Send me a picture. Send me a picture of a happy cat, and I'm good to go. I don't care, where you're at. Anyways, so I'm trying to get those weird boys and Meganobs painted up for that.
Yeah.
I want to paint the knights. Like right now, today I put the base coat silver on them.
Right.
And so they're ready for paint right now. I just don't know when that's going to happen.
Right.
So I have other things I need to do first. And to be honest, the new codex is so great that I kind of don't care if I have the new models or not. I have a 5-knight list ready to go for tomorrow that doesn't have the new knight or the armigers in it. Just has some of my old robots in it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hold those off maybe until August. Then so I'm building some dwarfs for Mark. For Mark from downstate.
Yeah.
And that'll be a fun little kind of just sit around, watch TV with Wendy, hang out kind of project. So that'll be good. I do need to start working on that Toys for Tots army if John ever shows up to talk to me about anything, because he's absent. But the I think his semester is over. This week or next.
His finishes the day that I fly in.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
Yeah.
So I think that'll start once he's done.
Yeah.
With school, which is fine. Like I said, I have other things to work on, but that's going to be, I think, 3 units of Blood Angels. Right. I think I have to buy 1 tank for that. I forget what I said I was going to buy, but everybody was, I am donating some tactical Marines, I think.
Okay.
Whatever. I'll look at it, but it's basically each of us does like a vehicle. Each one of us has like a unit,
right?
And each one of us has like an HQ. I don't think I have any HQs. I think I took on extra infantry just because that's kind of playing to our strengths, which I think we gave John extra HQs. I think we gave Mike from Canada, I think we gave him extra vehicle, and I'm taking on extra infantry just because that's our strengths, right? Like I can crank out infantry, no problem. And Mike is really great at, I mean, you've seen his Lehman Russes, and obviously John is an easy choice for getting
HQ,
for his attention to detail. Exactly. Yeah. So that we're playing to all our strengths. It'll be really great to just paint something different.
Yeah,
it's something I do. The only person who's screwed over in that regard is Mike, because he does Blood Angels all the time. So
but he's pretty safe on that. He didn't have to worry too much.
No, he's fine.
This is pretty cool. I had not heard of. I mean, I knew you guys were kind of talking about it, but I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, it's for the Toys for Tots charity that the Freebooters do every year. The Freebooters, forums are gone, which is not a surprise. Forums are just not a thing people use gone. Much anymore. Yeah. They're pretty much gone now. But the Freebooter spirit lives on, and we're looking forward to getting that out there. I think I'm not sure what the charity is this year. It's Toys for Tots, but I think that they do other stuff too. So I'm gonna have to make sure that that's the correct charity. What else? 20 plus models for Cruise Hammer. I have the Blood Boys and Weird Horrors built. I built those, and I've got I built a I told you about the weird what is it, the Herald of Tzeentch on disc. I talked about that conversion I did. I still have to paint that. I'm considering picking up a Mutilith Vortex Beast for the Tzeentch side of the army.
Oh yeah,
and paint it pink. I think it looks enough like a squig that I don't even think I have to do any conversions, to be honest. Yeah. I think it'll just be fine. Maybe I'll just I'll pick up a small box of or I'll go on eBay and pick up I don't want to buy a whole box of 20 Gretchen, what are they called? The Night Goblins. But maybe I'll pick up one or two Night Goblins to put on his back as kind of minders or something. Or this Weird Knob Shaman, instead of using him as a weird boy, I should put him on the back of the Vortex Beast.
Ooh.
Done.
There you go.
One less model I have to paint for the orcs. Okay. And then I have to after Cruise Hammer's over, after October, I definitely want to start a new army. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm pretty sure I want it to be Age of Sigmar.
Right.
But I don't know. I've been threatening to paint Eldar for a while. I don't know. Listeners, if you feel like I should be painting an army of some variety that is not Eldar, or if you have any thoughts on what I should do, let me know. I really don't know. I mean, beard lasers are pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. If you've got a beard and you fly around on a balloon and you shoot lasers out of your beard, I feel like that's something that's pretty great.
Well, you did create your Squats Codex.
I did, exactly.
Yeah,
so I feel like I almost got to represent.
Both.
Yeah, that could be, and you know what? It could be one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm going to build a army, or a list, build it to a list,
right?
And just, I mean, that's manageable. That's something I can do, in a few months. So, anyways, that's what I'm thinking. That's what we're doing. busy summer coming up. I still have to do the rules and stuff for the Apocalypse event, which I really need to do that kind of next. And we're also preparing for the Albany Exterminatus. I'm working on getting a website up for that too.
Yeah.
Anyways, I've been talking a lot. Let's move on to like community news real quick. We have the Stormcast podcast that has come out, which is the Games Workshop official Age of Sigmar podcast. I'm sure there's no 40K podcast yet, but I'm sure that'll be coming soon. It's just they have second edition of Age of Sigmar coming out, so that the focus really is on that. So that's awesome. You can get a lot of, if you're interested in like knowing what's up with second edition Age of Sigmar, I strongly recommend checking that out, because that's what they're going through. They're going through all the changes and all the stuff that's going on with that release. So and of course, go ahead.
As I've been thinking about it, and after being involved in 40K for a few years now, I suspect they'll probably wait about a year before they release like a 40K podcast, because they seem to use Sigmar and the old Warhammer Fantasy as kind of a testing ground before they move it over to 40K. And so I figure probably in about a year we'll get a 40K podcast.
That sounds reasonable, dude. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Because they'll have to find people that they can trust to do the engineering. I mean, this is just from the technical standpoint. And I'll be honest, I mean, I've been editing for us now, 3 years? And I'm still, and this is part of my profession, and I'm still like not figuring things out, but I'm going through and still experimenting with what sort of editing techniques that I use. And so, I think they'll probably want a year to kind of run the Stormcast and then say, all right, now we can go ahead and roll it out for 40K. So I don't know. That's just something I've noticed and whatnot. So
cool. Yeah. So it's just really nice to have Games Workshop engaging in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And this is just another step in that direction. I know. Another thing is there's a lot of market saturation out there for 40K podcasts.
Yes, there is.
It might not even make sense for them to do. I mean, people are going to ask for it, so that's fine. People should ask for it, but I certainly wouldn't expect it soonish, as you say, because they really want to make sure that to do it right, or they should have a reason to do it if they do it, for sure.
Well, years ago, GW had some podcasts, had some official podcasts. This was back before 6th edition, because I found them kind of archived in iTunes. I don't know if they're still there or not, but they weren't really like, what's what I'm looking for? They didn't go into a lot of technical details, a lot of interviews with authors and game designers, but there was only like 4 or 5 episodes, and then that was around the time whenever they just kind of shut down all their social media presence. So was, I think they put that out so that's what I was wondering with this one, with the one they're doing now. I was wondering if they were just doing it to promote the new edition, and they might shut it down after it's been released or shortly after it's been released, because that's what they did with the other podcast. When the last time GW had a podcast, it was they just had like Alessio Cavatore on to talk about the new this was when 5th edition came out. Yeah. And they had a couple episodes, and they just canceled it. They just stopped it once it had released. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. They could. You never know what they're gonna do. That's very true. All right, and then we have Imperial Knights next up.
Yeah, Imperial
community.
Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that codex is really good. Like, I don't know what more there is to say about it, because a lot of people are talking about it. Yeah. We've been this is probably releasing the week of the actual, like, when everybody gets their codex. Right. So there's not much I can say about it. We did an article on the for Frontline, like I said, about some narrative gaming with them. I'm sure we could do an episode on it if we haven't already. I can't remember. But doing an episode on narrative nights is probably not a terrible idea. We should definitely do it sometime and kind of touch on the stuff that I talk about in the article. It's a lot. Let me say this: it's a lot easier to do Imperial Knight narratives now than it ever has been.
Yeah,
and it's mainly due to this codex and how it really gives you a lot of fun things that you can do with your army and to make it unique and make it your own. And also, like, the stratagems and stuff are all very much geared towards making your army feel unique. Yeah, and to be fun, to play fun.
That's one of the things. Go ahead. Oh, that's one of the things that's been real nice about the community page for Warhammer is that they're actually posting like spoilers, like, hey, check it out. If you want House Raven, you have this. If you want House, great. I forgot about the names of all their houses, but they're actually showing the chapter tactics, the house tactics, the house stratagems and whatnot. And I thought that was really cool. I decided that I'm going to go ahead and repaint the plates on my knight because I forgot what color scheme I used. Haha! So I'm going to go ahead and repaint them. Like, I look at them like, I think it's this and this and this, but... So I just pulled the plates off and I'm going to paint over them, and that'll be cool, but it's just kind of funny that I did that.
That is freaking fantastic, dude.
So, one thing you didn't write in our community thing here, and this was just announced this past week, that the new Orcs Codex is coming, and...
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I am too. I've got a whole bunch of boys, so...
Yeah.
And my War Boss on a Bike is almost finished. I just kind of gotta throw some Seraphin Sepia on him to make him more dirty. Oh, and I've got to do blonde hair for him. I've tried it. It looks horrible. I need to do something better. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I am super stoked. I can't wait. I'm super surprised it's coming so soon. But,
I am too.
Hey, whatever. It's fine. I will. Yeah. I'll take it. So also, you know what? Did we talk about Rogue Trader last week?
No, I don't think we did.
So yeah, Rogue Trader board game is coming out.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, we don't usually do news and stuff, but I'm super excited about all this stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm most excited about is the fact that all the Age of Sigmar stuff that they've been doing, they have released like when they do a board game, they have released Age of Sigmar rules for the stuff in the box. So I wonder if we're going to get 40k rules for the Rogue Traders and all the other stuff in that box.
Yeah. Well, I just loved the video for it. It looks like it's going to be really cool, but the video was it's showing a lot of humor.
They were running, they were doing the whole like 70s bass line thing, which is just fantastic. Like what kind of game is this?
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I was like, all right, this could be cool, But the whole popping up of the Inquisitional seal saying, "Hey, you're in trouble for watching this. Go ahead and report yourself." That was pretty cool. That was pretty funny. So,
that's fantastic.
Do we have any other community stuff we want to talk about?
I think that's enough for now. So Jason, we're already 50 minutes. This is the longest intro we've had in a long time, but we still have Beyond the Fringe.
Yes, we do. Listeners. And for me, my Beyond the Fringe is my microphones, the SM57 and 58. They are the same microphone, but with a different windshield. Just so you know, they are durable in case you accidentally knock over a microphone stand and the mic kind of falls into a glass of some sort of liquid, water, beer, or your favorite soda. They're also really durable, and if you drop them on accident or not, they still run. They still run really, really well. Don't ask me about why I'm saying this today, so we'll just leave it at that.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, they're they've been tested to from what I remember, they could encase them in ice and then, let it thaw and they still work really well. So yeah. Not
Excellent.
that I did that or
Excellent.
whatever.
Oh, I'm sure your innocence is well documented.
Yeah.
Or at least your guilt. At least your guilt is not documented.
There's no video of any of this happening. So if there's not documentation, it didn't happen.
That's right. That is right. That's what we say around my office, anyways. All right, great. My Beyond the Fringe is I saw a Solo and I loved it. It was so good. My favorite part was the droid. Her name was R337, which is or not R3, L337, which is just a great little campy leet speak thing, which I love. And also it reminded me so much of a Star Wars character that I had in the old not the West End Games version of Star Wars, but the D20 version, where my droid character R3, he eventually became I have levels in Crime Lord.
Right.
Because he was a union boss for droids. Partially for altruistic reasons. Not entirely, though. We ran protection on a lot of corporations in the galaxy. And we basically what do you call it? We told them that if they didn't pay us money, or if they didn't allow their droids to give their droids payment, which we got union dues out of, we would release code that basically freed the droids and made any restraining bolts totally useless. And that would generally cause extreme havoc for those corporations. And so anyways, yes, the original, my character was the OG of droid resistance. It was amazing. And I just loved that whole, oh, by the way, spoilers. Anyways, I loved that whole thing with that droid. It was so good. Anyways, I think that's it. I think we're ready to dive in and talk about Necron Dynasties. I really like the concept of this episode, by the way. I would like to do more of this because a lot of the time when we talk about a faction, it's really hard to get in depth about the subfactions of that faction. And we always talk about, maybe we'll talk about this group or that group, but a lot of the time there's not enough meat on a specific group to talk about it. So in this way, we don't have to go into all the huge detail of that faction, but also we can get in a little more detail about the subfactions within it. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. I have the Forge Bane box that I have not built yet, and this may help me.
Oh, so you're starting out fresh with your Necrons?
Yeah,
I've
never built any
yet. Oh, so that's really cool. So that means well, I should just send you my Forge Bane. Oh no, I actually traded mine away. Anyways, I really think that this is what a great opportunity to start fresh and have a whole new outlook on. Oh, I love starting new armies. It's so much fun. Anyway, okay, without further ado, here are some messages and we'll be right back.
Hey Archons, tired of the boring predictability and efficiency of stuff that always works? You need the Slith Party Bus! Got an extra 473 points that you can't find a solid use for? You need the Slith Party Bus! You could spend 420 points on 3 reliable Lance Ravagers pumping out 9 Dark Lance shots per turn. That'll only give up 3 victory points, or you can drop 473 points on 2 Archons, 8 Slith, and a Raider for 11 victory points. You need the Slith Party Bus! The classic Slith Party Bus. Still awesome. Party Bus! Still hilarious. Party Bus! It's the Slith Party Bus! If you love the Slith Party Bus, you'll want to check out our other exciting products. We have the Rack Wiffle Ball Bat, the Trueborn, and the Blood Bride. Trueborn and Blood Bride models no longer available. The classic Slith Party Bus, still awesome, still hilarious. It's the Slith Party Bus!
Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know about the Show Me Showdown, which is an ITC Grand Tournament held in Kansas City, Missouri, on July 21st and 22nd, 2018, and is being held at Staley High School in North Kansas City. The event is being held to raise money for 2 student programs, FBLA, the Future Business Leaders of America, and DECA, Marketing and Entrepreneur Program. These 2 student organizations raise money each year to help with student activities and programs that prepare kids for business careers. All the rules and information for the event can be found at their website, www.showmeshowdownt.com, or on Facebook at Show-Me Showdown GT. Just a reminder, location is Staley High School in Kansas City, Missouri. 40 players, match play of 2,000 points. The entry fee is $30, and the format is the ITC 2018 Tournament Pack. One last time, www.showmeshowdownt.com. Thanks.
Are you looking for a pressure-free hobby Facebook group? Hobby Streak. Are you looking for a community where you can keep your hobby progress on track? Hobby Streak. Do you want a Facebook group that focuses on all aspects of the hobby? Hobby Streak. Hobby Streak is a Facebook group for building, painting, list building, playing games, and everything in between. Hobby Streak. Post daily updates showing or telling about your progress for friendly and helpful support from a great community. Try Hobby Streak today.
So the Necron faction is split up into subfactions called dynasties. Now, when we think about dynasties, when I think about dynasties, I think about besides that, I think about ancient Egypt and how, and not only Egypt, but also like Nubia and other areas. Generally, when you talk about a dynasty, you're talking about the family that is ruling that area at that given time.
Yeah.
Necron dynasties are a little different, where the dynasties represent like factions. So even before the evolution of the Necron tier into the Necrons, their society was structured into these individual monarchic factions called dynasties. And these dynasties didn't represent the rule of a single family over all of the Necron tier. Rather, the galaxy is just way too big for that to be tenable. You can't. It's people have tried. It doesn't work.
Right.
Even for a species as powerful as the Necron tier. So instead, each dynasty ruled over its own galactic dominion. So a little piece of the pie, as if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the Necron tier itself was held together by an individual called the Silent King and a council of dynastic leaders called the Triarch.
That's really interesting interesting hierarchy, the way they're setting that up.
Mm-hmm.
So in our current lore, today the Silent King has risen, but the Triarch has yet to be reformed. Until then, the dynasties mostly work alone to reclaim their domains. Some dynasties have actually conquered others of their kind. With cold calculation, many of these conquered Necrons have accepted this fate. One could assume that, without leadership and unified direction, it is possible that Necrons could end up being their own worst enemy in their bid to reconquer the galaxy and cure themselves of biotransference. Were the Triarch to ever be reformed and the dynasties united under a single banner, the consequences for the galaxy would be harrowing to consider. And that's pretty interesting, the whole council Triarch. That's
Mm-hmm.
that could be an interesting, fluff thing to pursue in the future.
Right, either for games like a Games Workshop supplement or just in your own narratives, like possibly a narrative depicting the Silent King kind of coming back and gathering everyone together. And it's very much the same as the orc narrative too, with Gazgul bringing the orcs together. And if that ever really worked out, it would be a terrible, terrible thing for the Imperium.
Right. And I don't remember seeing, I don't remember seeing this, but did they actually talk about how the Triarch had been formed, or is that,
I think that was just a thing, right? I think that was just a thing that developed over time, because they can be warlike, but they're also honorable towards each other in war. Towards the end of towards the end of what was it called? The War in Heaven.
Yeah.
When they were doing the biotransference, there were quite a few dynasties that said, no way.
Right.
Nope. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And so there were some insurrections and stuff that they had to put down to get everyone on board with the biotransference.
Okay.
So there were some like wars and stuff between dynasties, even with the Triarch in place.
Okay, this makes a lot more sense. This gives me kind of it gives all of us a background flavor of the Necrons.
Absolutely. So because of that, so we now we know kind of that each dynasty dominates its own region, and its power is centered on a crown world, which is the driving force behind the dynasty's expansion. Each dynasty has set its own pace, moving from system to system, either dominating and subjugating the species there or eliminating them entirely. Any tomb worlds they find are awakened. And if a tomb world is aligned with a different dynasty, they will endeavor to dominate the Necrons there and take all the precious resources of that world for themselves. Chief among these resources, obviously, is the Nectolith.
Mm-hmm.
Or black. It's a lot easier to say Blackstone.
Yeah.
Which is the substance that can be harnessed to thwart incursions of the warp. And it is sought after by nearly every faction in the galaxy. And the Admech are getting into big trouble for all the Blackstone that they have harvested from Necron worlds and stuff. The Necrons are very keen on hunting that down and getting it for themselves. So they use it for a lot more stuff. And the interesting thing, though, like what we've found is that the Necrons are just as interested in, keeping the warp at bay as everybody else is. They do not like magic. They do not like the warp. They don't use it for much of anything. So they use dolmen gates to travel instead. So we do kind of have kindred spirits in the Necrons from time to time, but they still want to destroy our species. So whatever.
Yeah, that's probably a very few humans factions will ally with them, unless they're Blood Angels. Sorry, I had to say it. All right, so although dozens of dynasties have been mentioned in the Warhammer 40k lore, only a handful are detailed in the Codex, and fewer still have their own rules. The Codex also mentions that the awakened dynasties are only a fraction of those which remain slumbering. As such, players are encouraged to come up with their own lore if they so desire. There's plenty of room in the galaxy for whatever unique story you want to tell with your Necrons. Yeah, whenever we first started talking about doing this, I made the mistake or whatever of looking on the wiki, and it was just pages of just names. I thought, oh man, this could be rough real quick.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. I mean, that's good. It's a good thing. A lot of it's just, and Games Workshop has been doing this for years, right? They've been putting out these little pieces of information, and the whole intent behind those is for you to make your own, tell your own story and have fun with it. They intentionally leave details out so that you can fill them in during your games.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, it's preferred. It's preferable. This works as intended. So because of that, okay, so we're about to start going into and talking about the individual dynasties, and we're not gonna list all of them. That's you wouldn't remember them anyways. That's the thing about the podcast. Sometimes people give way too much information that you're not gonna remember anyways.
And we're already gonna have a long episode today.
Yeah, we're gonna So we're only gonna go over the ones that are in the Codex, the ones that are explicitly mentioned in the. Certainly gonna go over the ones that have rules, because we're talking about the rules and how to use them in your narrative games. But we're also only gonna go over anything that's explicitly mentioned there. All right.
Cool.
So let's start off with the Necron poster boys. The Sautek. And I'll start us off here.
All right.
So the Sautek dynasty are they're kind of the focus faction for the Necrons in 40k. More than any other dynasty, they're on that inexorable march of expansion and annexation of not only the worlds of other alien species, but other Necrons. Of note, the dynasties of the Sekemtar, the Horth, Arunamarak, they have all been absorbed by the Sautek. This has all been made possible because of one Necron, in particular, Nemesis Imhotep, the Stormlord.
I like that title, the Stormlord.
Yeah,
it reminds me of Doctor Who. Stormageddon. So, all right.
Stormageddon.
Yes. Quite possibly the best 2-episode character. All right, sorry about that. So, Nemesis is the title granted to Necrons of any stripe who show aptitude for waging war. That's terrifying. Okay. Imhotep is the exemplar of such activities among the Necrons. This was made evident when he awoke from his long slumber. The Sautek's world of Mandragora was being decimated by an appalling civil war. Rather than try to settle the differences of the warring factions, he raised an army, marched against them, and took power for himself. Okay, yeah, man, let's do this. Okay.
Yep. Well, he woke up to his family fighting, and his answer was kill them all. Great, good for him.
Okay. Oh boy.
Now
Right.
Imhotep knows that, though, for now the Sautek are the most numerous of Necron dynasties, and they still can't take the galaxy in a single all-out assault.
Mm-hmm.
The Sautek have been picking and choosing their battles throughout the Eastern Fringe and bolstering their numbers as they go. It would stand to reason that Imhotep's ultimate goal is unification of the Necron species and the eventual galactic domination, but really I think it would be under his own banner. I'm not sure he knows that the Silent King has been awakened either. I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
Or doesn't care.
He might not care.
Yeah. So also among the number of Sautek are Nemesaur Zandrek, Vargard Obrion, and Oricon the Diviner. Oricon, this I found this really interesting. Oricon foresaw the Horse Heresy and the Great Rift. His prognostication is not limited to just galaxy-shaking events, but relatively small divinations to do with individuals. His machinations to bring about his own prophecies have, on occasion, caused more problems than if he just left it alone in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah, there was that whole anecdote of him with the Silver Skulls where he had, like, the Silver Skulls thwarted one of his plans, so he went back in time and killed almost all the Silver Skulls. He's like, ha ha ha, I got you. And so his plans came to fruition, but it turns out, like, years later, the Silver Skulls, what's left of them, return to the system with a bunch of their brothers, and they murdered all of the Necrons. So, like, oh, oops.
Oopsies.
And yeah. So were it not for the brain damage caused by the long sleep, Nemesaur Zandrek would be a threat to Imhotep's claims to power. Zandrek's mind is trapped in the past, from a time before the biotransference, when the Necrontyr were racked by wars of succession. As such, Zandrek affords all of his foes the same battle honors he would show any Necron foe. For example, he does not use death marks or wraiths in combat, and he captures rather than kills any enemy commanders. Were he not a genius military commander, he would have been deposed long ago.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's got a buddy that looks out for him, Vargard Oberyn, who is Zandrek's right hand, and his mind has not suffered like his master's has. So, but he's still super loyal.
Yeah.
So he doesn't allow any of the other court or to mess with Zandrek. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, he has to clean up a mess. So he's like, if Zandrek decides to capture like a Imperial commander, Oberon might come up with a unfortunate accident that will befall the person or something like that,
Yeah. Oopsies.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's just a fun, what a fun couple of characters there.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of fun that could be had on the tabletop with that. I mean, you could even, continue that into other realms beyond just the tabletop, into RPGs as well. All right, so although the Sautek are considered dangerous in the extreme by all who encounter them, it's interesting to note that before the Necrons went into hibernation, they were considered to be only the third most powerful dynasty. So we're not even looking at the most powerful group there, which is kind of scary and kind of interesting, actually. Where are these other two dynasties? Where are they?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hobby. So their colors are a ruddy silver and a green glow, which is that's their traditional colors scheme.
Yeah, that's pretty much Necrons. They are Necrons. That's they're kind of they're the de facto Necron color scheme, and they're they're the Ultramarines of Necrons.
Got it.
Yep. So on your tabletop, you've got a bunch of options for playing the Sautek. Again, Imhotep the Stormlord is a model you can buy and rules you can play. He's really cool. He gives you an extra command point. He buffs nearby infantry. Like, he's very much a leader. And I like that. That's really cool. He's got some pretty great physical stats as well. But I think the most important thing is that he exudes that whole "I am a great military commander" thing, and I think that his rules definitely do that.
Okay.
And then for Nemesaur Zandrak, Nemesaur Zandrak is really cool. He has abilities that he can kind of buff nearby units with a special rule. So he's got like this D3. The ability is called Transient Madness, where you'd roll a D3, and you at the start of your turn consult a friendly infantry unit within 6 inches, and they get a special ability. One order is like Avenge the Fallen, that adds 1 to the attacks of the models in the unit. 2 is Quell the Rebellion. There's no rebellion happening, sir. Improve the ballistic skill of models by 1 in the unit, which is cool. Solar Mills Charge! So, reroll failed charge rolls for the unit. So yeah, that's really cool. And he's got the counter tactics rule.
Right.
Which I find the most interesting. You pick a character within 12 inches of Nemesaur Zandrak at the start of your opponent's turn.
Right.
And any aura abilities that character has cannot be used until the beginning of your opponent's next turn.
Oh, okay.
So that shuts down Rabute Gwilman, that shuts down Chapter Masters, that shuts down certain abilities for company commanders. That's just like, you have to put him in danger for that to happen. But that's what you have Vargard Oberon for. He's there to take shots for Zandrak, and that's why you make sure to have a bunch of infantry there too. Like, that character Zandrak is so cool. Like, and again, I feel like he definitely exudes that, crazy military commander thing who is he makes you question what you're doing, Right. So I don't know. I think he's really fun. I would love to try him out. I would definitely give him a shot. Then Oricon the Diviner is really cool. I think, isn't Oricon the one where you got to like re-roll maybe that was Zandrak, or I can't remember, but one of these guys, you got to, I think you got to re-roll your Seize the Initiative or something. It worked, and the only one it didn't work against was the orcs, because the orcs were confounding. The character didn't understand the orcs. It was really funny.
Let's see. I'm looking at the codex. It doesn't say anything about that, but I don't know this codex very well, so it could be just me.
Yeah, it was an old one. It was an old codex, but yeah.
Oh, it was
really
the
cool.
old. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oricon the Diviner, he provides like a 5-up invuln save for a nearby infantry unit. I guess that's kind of like, he looks into the future and saves you from getting shot or something.
Yeah.
I would have preferred some really cool, like, he has the ability to like turn into, he gets like an empowered state, and which is cool, but I would have liked to have seen some kind of time dilation power, something, you know what I'm saying, something a little more interesting when it comes to that with that character. I think he could have had something a little more weird or interesting, and that's just my opinion. You want to talk about the dynastic code and stratagem we have available for this?
Let's look at that. So we have the dynastic code, the relentless, which is relentless advance. So all weapons become assault weapons. Oh yeah, sorry. When the unit advances and when not advancing, which that is such a Necron kind of. I mean, you mentioned these are the Ultramarines, the Necrons. That really kind of says that right there. Also, they don't suffer penalties for moving and shooting heavy weapons. So, that's actually a really cool rule. Stratagem, methodical destruction. So that's going to cost 2 command points. After causing an unsaved wound on an enemy, +1 to hit for other units in your army.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That'd be kind of, let's see. There's some other rules similar to that.
There's one like in the Tau. So it's very much like focus fire. Like, okay, we're going to kill this one thing. All right, kill that one thing until it's dead. All right, move on to the next thing. Shoot it. Okay, kill that thing until it's dead. And I think that's very thematic for this army.
Yeah.
Then we have for the artifact, we have the Abyssal Staff, which it automatically hits. And if it hits the unit, roll 3d6. If it's equal to or greater than the leadership, deal d3 mortal wounds. I think that one's a little less like specialized for this army. I think it was more of a, all right, let's do this thing and we'll give it to them. It doesn't really feel special to that army. Then the warlord trait is hyperlogical strategist. Once per battle, reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage roll. Also regenerate your command points on a 5-up. So that is definitely a Sautek thing, and it's definitely a Imhotep, kind of a warlord trait for sure. So I think all of these, the Relentless Advance, Methodical Destruction, and the Hyperlogical Strategist, they very much exude the Sautek theme. And so I say mission accomplished there.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Mefrit. The lore for them includes the Mefrit dynasty was famous for having the knowledge and disposition required to eliminate entire star systems. This last resort tactic was considered distasteful even the Necron tier standards, and the Mefrit never really had a lot of friends among their own kind. Still, the Silent King called upon them time and again for them to render their unique sets of skills. Since their awakening, the Mefrit technology has waned. So underneath this, when I was reading the notes, I just kind of typed out Space Wolves. The Space Wolves were known as the kind of the Fist of the Emperor, and so maybe the Mefrits were kind of the, the silent, this is, when there's an issue, the Silent King just says, all right, send these guys in.
Yep, they're the ones, they have the stomach to even among Necrons, you don't want to just destroy an entire star systems.
Right.
I've heard some people like, well, why don't you just leave if someone's going to blow up your star? Evacuating billions of people takes a lot more effort than you might think. Or, than some people might think. That's the effort required. Even if you gave somebody 1,000 years to evacuate, there would still be people who die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, it's a very final thing, destroying a star system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not there anymore afterwards. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, right now in the modern era, the Mefrit are actually somewhat rudderless. Their crown world was destroyed during the Hrud, during their hibernation, and they have no Pharaon to lead them. As such, the dynasty's destructive capabilities have been left somewhat in tatters. I mean, they're still good at it. Don't get me wrong. They can still, not all of that knowledge died. They just don't have, entire fleets of planet-destroying starships at their disposal. So their technology still bears some of the old hallmarks of their craft. But a great deal, we'll talk more about that in the rules, but a great deal remains to be rebuilt or reclaimed if at all possible. This also hasn't stopped them from stirring up trouble with the Eldari, who are actually responsible for the death of their Pharaon when that happened.
Oh, okay. So there's something.
I'm not sure how that all works out, because they're like, oh, it was the Hrud, and then they're like, oh, wait, it was the Eldari. So I'm like, okay, which was it? But anyways.
Well, it's interesting. I guess if people are playing against a lot of Eldar players in our local meta, this might be an interesting dynasty to pursue. Yes,
absolutely.
So it was the Mefret of the Cryptus system, along with their de facto ruler, Zarustra, which there's an interesting piece with that title, who also align themselves, if temporarily, with the Blood Angels and Anrakir the Traveler to defend that system from Hive Fleet Leviathan. Once the Space Marines left to defend their world, Zarathustra set to conquering what remained of the Cryptus system. And for them, their hobby, they are ruddy silver with an orange glow. So their weapons glow orange and whatnot. So that's that. That's them.
That's very unique. There's only a couple of Necron army, like only a couple of the official Necron armies that or dynasties that have a different glow, and they are one of them, just because of their abilities, their destructive capabilities that they have. They have carried some of that knowledge over into their weaponry. They're just their hand weaponry. Let me go through their tabletop stuff super quick. They have their dynastic code is called Solar Fury. This gives them -1 AP at half range. So this includes their just regular Gauss weapons as well. So that's really interesting, because it's gonna do it when you have 20 models shooting twice at close range, and sometimes, depending on what stratagem you use, even more times. That's a lot of guns shooting at your face. Guns in your face, shooting your face off.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And that makes a lot of sense for, their lore. Their stratagem is called Talent for Annihilation, which is 1 command point. They get +1 attack when the unit rolls an unmodified 6 to hit in the shooting phase. Again, they love destroying things. Like, destruction is their deal, so that makes a lot of sense for them. There's more destruction. Getting extra shots is like when people say, "Oh, you get rerolls." The rerolls are about being very accurate,
right? Where
getting extra attacks represents them being more eager. You know what I'm saying? So I like that. Even if the numbers work out about the same, that's not the point. The point is to make it feel thematic to the army. Artifacts of the Aeons, we have the Voltaic Staff.
Right.
It wounds on a 6+. Wounds of a 6+ suffer an additional mortal wound. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything that'll destroy more things makes a lot of sense. Then for the Warlord trait, we have Merciless Tyrant. +6 inches range for the assault weapons carried by the Warlord, and the Warlord's weapons can target characters.
Ooh.
And I think that kind of does make sense for the Mephrit dynasty. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
So dude, why don't we've done kind of the general discussion on the dynasties, and we've talked about the two biggest dynasties, really. Why don't we take a quick break, give the folks some commercials, give us a chance to get up and hit the restroom, and we'll come back and we'll wrap up the rest of these dynasties.
Cool.
All right, we'll be right back.
Come here, boy, get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotobix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Zotobix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy. I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins
No,
and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert deserts.
Ah!
Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Hey, mofos. Are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scaredcast, Skared on YouTube.
Hello, everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40K background.
The NGC 40K podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40K to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke en bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer en bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. And we're back! Hey, everybody.
That's a good start.
Welcome back. I wanted to first, before we move on to the Necron Dynasty, I want to say, if you want to learn more about the Mephirit Dynasty, just check out the Shield of Baal campaign. I think it's called Annihilation or Execution or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Shield of Baal campaign book has a bunch of information about the Mephirit Dynasty, way beyond what we have here. Like the first two that we talked about, the Sautek and the Mephirit, you probably could do an entire podcast episode about those.
Yeah.
There's just a lot to them. But anyways, the Necron, they boast a kind of a dense cluster of stars as the cradle for its crown world. So they've just got a bunch of they're like in a cluster. As such, Necron have a wealth of free energy at their disposal. Keep in mind, people don't really understand how important solar energy is to a advanced society, because it's not like it means you don't pay for power. It's just free power, and if you can harness all of it, you're doing pretty well, because an advanced enough society, power, energy equals everything. If you have energy, you have food. If you have energy, you have heat. If you have a species that can turn energy into matter, you literally want for nothing as long as you have enough energy.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're especially proud of their ability to translate anyone or anything over vast distances with advanced teleporters. Unfortunately, their Pharaon awoke from his long slumber somewhat mad, proclaiming that he would drape himself in literal starlight. To their credit, the Necron developed a chemical process by which matter is converted to light and back again. Pharaon Silfek would love nothing more than to perfect this process. So he literally, other dynasties had a crazy person wake up and they did something about it. What the Necron did about it was give in to his wants and desires and give him exactly what he wants. So that's fine. Hey, you know what? You do you. If that's how you roll, then that's how you roll, right?
Yeah. That's it's an interesting little dynasty here. So what's fun about them, or at least from what I've been looking through, for the hobby, they're burnished gold and have a green glow, which this is really not the first. I mean, I think there's one or two other dynasties that have this kind of burnished color, but this is a real departure. So you can actually do something more with this. And if you decide to go through and create your own dynasty, you know that you don't have to just have everything to be silver, you know?
Exactly.
So on the tabletop, their dynastic code is translocation beams. So auto roll a 6 for advancing and move over obstacles and models when advancing.
So they basically fly without having the fly keyword.
They do move. Okay. Their stratagem, translocation crypt, 1 command point. Set up a unit in deep strike. Hey, that could be cool.
And there's no limit. Some armies have a limit on how many they can do. I mean, obviously in matched play, you're limited to, what is it, like 50% of your power or of your power level or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's really cool. That's a neat thing, and I think it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think that having Necrons just, show up all the time fits their lore.
And it's certainly the lore of this specific
especially
dynasty,
these guys.
obviously. Yeah.
Then we have Artifacts of the Aeons, the Solar Staff. So a unit hit rolls a 4-up or is blinded. -1 to hit and cannot fire Overwatch. That's pretty cool. Nice little light burst. And what was it? There used to be a blind roll in, I think it was in 30K. So that could be really good.
Yep, there was a blind rule in 7th edition. Yeah,
that was it. Yeah. Warlord trait, Skin of the Living God. Enemies suffer -1 to hit this model. That's cool. That is cool.
And that's a direct representation of their lore. What it says that their Pharaon has in the lore.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Really neat. I'm assuming that's in both shooting and in assault. So.
Yeah. Yep, it is.
Okay.
It is. It's both. How cool is that, dude?
That is pretty cool.
I love these guys. These guys are neat. They're a little corny. But hey, it's part of I think it makes them fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the color scheme. It's not the what's the joke about painting both Necrons and Grey Knights is throw them in a bag with some silver paint and just shake it.
Yeah.
Which I think that's funny on one hand, but I think, as someone who's, trying to paint, it could be whatever.
It can be unappealing for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the Nihilak.
Ooh, yeah.
All of these names end with an H.
Yeah.
Or if you're from Britain, a H.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's a thing. Anyways, the Nihilak these guys are great. A ruthless and territorial dynasty known for their hunger for conquest. When they awoke from their long slumber to find many of their treasure vaults plundered and their vast holdings in disrepair, Overlord Tarek ordered Cryptek Drazen to regenerate one of their old superweapons and use it against the human interlopers upon their worlds. Drazen has started to go somewhat mad, though, and Tarek has begun looking for a replacement. So this is some weird old lore from 2012.
Really? Okay.
That I found. Yeah, it's from an old White Dwarf by Chris Peach, actually.
Okay.
Now, when the Nihilak march to war, they do so adorned with their many treasures. The most important ones remain safely tucked away. For example, the Yith. It's Yith.
Yeah.
The Yithseer is the preserved head of a prophet that the Nihilak used to view their future. So this is just this dude's head that they look into his head to look into the future. But that's probably why they're currently mobilizing for war.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Now, we have the Nihilak are like in two different factions. Actually, and Jason's about to talk about kind of this second faction of the Nihilak.
Probably the faction that I am the most fascinated by because we have talked about them before.
Mm-hmm.
Trazyn the Infinite, or as I like to say, the Lost Primarch of the Blood Ravens, is also the Nihilak, and he takes the Nihilak predilections to a whole new level. He is obsessed with rescuing unique treasures from foolish mortals who would destroy them, including living things. Of late, the state of the galaxy is so dire that Trazyn has mobilized millions of Necrons from his museum world of Somnence to capture and save entire worlds, scores of them, from the foolish predations of other species. I think I might know where my Necrons are getting painted. Okay.
I believe it. And you know what? It's just so much fun. He's so great. And it's such a fun, like, just the whole thing of they love collecting treasures from their conquests and stuff. That's a lot of fun in itself. So yeah, I definitely approve if this is the direction you're going to go with them.
Well, considering I've been wanting to pick up the Trazyn the Infinite model or Kit Bash one, this gives me a direction, and I just opened up the EPUB so I can kind of look at their color scheme, and I can talk about it too. So for hobby,
yeah, go ahead.
They are ruddy silver and with blue striped gold accents and a green glow. The Cryptex set their troops' armors with sparkling blue gems. And in the Codex, I mean, you actually have a destroyer, I believe. And he has like blue gems, it's got some blue stripes and gold. Yeah, I think, okay, fine. We found my dynasty. Okay.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm so excited because these guys are so much fun. And you're definitely going to go with, you're going to do
Trazyn.
Trazyn, right?
Oh yeah.
So it'll be from this world.
Yes,
Your guys are going to be from Somnence. That's awesome.
Yes, although I'm going to continue calling him the Lost Primarch for the Blood Ravens. Since people get bent out of shape about maybe the Blood Ravens being Magnus, or their Primarch being Magnus, I'm just going to say, let's go full heresy. It's Trazyn. So
the Primarch is Trazyn. I like it. Well, that's why they, yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. All right, great. So let's talk a little bit about the rules, shall we?
Yeah.
And how they relate to the theme of the army. Trazyn the Infinite. Let's start with him. Trazyn is, again, he's just kind of hangs out. He does his own thing, right? And even the other Necrons in his dynasty don't really trust him, and for good reason, to be honest. Yeah. So he's got the usual Necron leader stuff. Including most of them have a phase shifter. So all the guys we've talked about so far have like a 4-up invuln save.
Right.
And they have this my will be done rule where units get like +1 advance, charge, and hit rolls. Mm-hmm. Which is really cool. But you, instead of like the Space Marine ones where everybody gets it, you pick a unit and it gets it. So it's really interesting.
Okay.
So Circuit Trazyn the Infinite. If Trazyn is slain, roll a d6. On a 2+, you may choose another friendly Necron character. Other than characters you can only include once in your army, so unique characters don't count. Right. Remove that model as if it were slain and place Trazyn in its place with d3 wounds remaining.
Oh, I'm going to have so much fun with this.
So yeah, so you just have like a bunch of Cryptex and lords hanging out, and if something were to happen to Trazyn, he just comes back and comes right back. And the cool thing is, this does not say once per game. This is like just keep doing it for as many characters as you have. That's how many times Trazyn can come back.
Oh, I can already see I can already see the stupidity I'm going to pull off, or I'm going to try.
The even better part is there's no range on it either. So like, it's anywhere on the battlefield.
Yeah. Oh,
because he was there the whole time.
Well, I remember from reading in what was it, the Rise of the Primarch series and the novelization, that he just kind of, every time you think, oh, he's not here, he's actually above you, standing on a cliff, staring down at you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like he's Korax or something like that.
Well, he's got so many toys that you never like. He's got so many ways of doing weird things. Like he's got weird what do you call it? He's like a walking plot hole, really. And he's built with plot armor. I mean, that's what that rule is. He is basically plot armor. So good for him.
I have found
his
my
weapon
character.
Weapon is really cool too. He's got a melee weapon called an empathic obliterator. +2 strength, -1 AP, D3 damage. If a character is slain by an attack from this weapon, each enemy unit within 6 inches of the slain character also suffers D3 mortal wounds. So like you just vibrate them until they die. It's great. So let's talk about the dynastic code. The dynastic code for the Nihilak is called aggressively territorial.
Yeah.
If they did not move in the movement phase, reroll 1s to hit. So that's really cool. Their stratagem is called Reclaim a Lost Empire. For 2 command points, you get +1 save and +1 attack if the unit stood still or is within 3 inches of an objective. So they're all about holding their ground and holding those objectives, which makes total sense for their lore.
Yeah.
Their artifact of the Aeons is called a Time Splinter Cloak. Reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage roll for the bear once per battle, and you also ignore damage on a 5+. I'm not sure why you would take that, because that person is just going to become Trazen the Infinite throughout the game anyways.
You do have a point. Yeah.
Well, someone's got to get the artifacts. You can't give it to the unique characters, so you might as well give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Then we have the Warlord trait is called Precognitive Strike, and they always strike first, with the usual caveats of always attacking first.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is the Novico. Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, or the Novak. There we go. Maybe that works. Anyways, we'll call them the Novak. Are a breed of merciless killers. Although they seem at first to be typical Necrons slowly marching into battle, once they've engaged in close quarters fighting, the memories of the past resurface. They are reminded of ancient blood rituals their dynasty once engaged in, and these warriors turn mindless Necron thralls into crazed yet animated warriors. The Novak, their crown world Dol 6, and their overlord, the Crimson King, have been beset by hordes of orcs. They have unleashed their enslaved Satan shards upon this menace, which uses its reality-bending abilities to not only destroy the orcs' command structure, but render them having never existed. Well, that works. This is understandably quite baffling to the orcs, although if orcs believe in something, then it exists. So you've got a paradox running on that planet at all times. So what's interesting about them is they have silver bodies. I mean, this is the hobby aspect. There's much more interesting stuff. Silver bodies with crimson accents, with white striping and a green glow. And that's really, I don't think I've ever seen anybody paint these guys, because they have, that reddish, that crimson accents. And so that really does set off that green. You have that green versus red contrast.
There is one of the guys, one of the Games Workshop employees has this dynasty as their army, and it's in one of the It's in the Necron White Dwarf. I don't know if you have it. If you go to the White Dwarf issue that was released with this codex, they do show his army. Or no, it doesn't belong to. It's actually a young lady's army. He was just using it. So there's a lady. There's a young woman who works at a Games Workshop, and it's her army that he was using, and she does this one. I mean, she basically said, "Well, I chose this because it was red."
Goes faster.
Because it's so obviously exactly it goes faster. Thank you. Exactly.
There we go.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back and I have that White Dwarf. I'll have to go back and It's
a really cool looking army. I really like it.
Yeah, those colors would be nice. Okay, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's fine. We have on your tabletop, we have the dynastic code is Awakened by Murder, so that's nice. Reroll hits in close combat if charged, charging, or performing glorious intervention. As a if you play matched play all the time, I can see where you might consider this a less interesting trait for your army, but in my opinion, I find it very exciting.
Because
even okay, fine, yes, that might have something to do with it, but also don't forget, just because you shoot a lot doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be shooting all the time, and you don't always fight in close combat on your own terms. I think someone's always trying to get in close combat with you. Why not be better at it when it happens, right?
Yeah.
So and Necrons, they've got, I think they have, most of them have a 3+ weapon skill, if I recall correctly. Necron Warriors. Weapon skill 3+, so they're pretty great in close combat.
Yeah.
So I can see this actually working out pretty great. If I recall, the young man who was playing that army in the battle report.
Yeah.
Not only was the army featured in the White Dwarf, but it was also featured in a battle report on the Warhammer community, Warhammer TV Twitch channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, what was I saying? They were like, oh yeah, they were very, they were kind of down on the whole, like, which, this dynasty.
Right.
But then they went and assaulted a bunch of space marines with the Necron warriors and killed them to a man in assault. Because of the rerolls and everything. So, hey, you know what? Don't knock it until you've tried it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that's been nice about this new edition is, a lot of the armies are given some extra, dynastic or chapter tactics or all these other things to fit not completely different play styles, but to kind of expand it. Like, for instance, this would be if you were playing Necrons because you love them and you wanted to make them more close combat oriented. There you go. This is kind of the Orcs version of the Necrons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think if they tried making it if they made this so that let's make this trait so that they're just as good as Orcs in close combat, that wouldn't make any sense for the Necrons. No. So if you don't like it, don't pick it.
Yeah.
But don't knock it when somebody wants to take it.
Yeah, I like the idea, the idea of these, Necrons getting into close combat, getting stuck in and really, smashing things. That makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, and it's great, and it's like, well, they're just like any other Necrons. They have this slow, inexorable advance forward shooting and everything like that. But once they do make it in close combat, it's just the angry comes out, and like they it's almost like they have life again. It's almost they become more sentient when they're fighting close combat, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that this rule reflects that perfectly. So we have a really expensive stratagem called Blood Rights.
Yeah.
3 command points, but they get to fight again.
Yeah.
And all of the stratagems that do that are expensive. Of course, if you're playing in matched play, if you're playing competitively, of course you're going to not really be thinking about Necron warriors with this stratagem, and with this trait, you're going to be thinking about wraiths and spiders and maybe to some extent, what do you call them? The flesh guys.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Flesh dudes. Wraiths.
Yeah.
No. What are they? Whatever. The dudes that wear the skin. Anyways.
Flayed ones.
Flayed ones, thank you. And they have a lot of attacks. Those dudes, they get a lot of attacks. Anyways, then we have artifacts of the Aeons. The artifact that they get is the Blood Scythe. And that has D3 additional attacks, which that just makes total sense to me. Just more fighting in close combat. It makes sense for their rules that their character that you would pick and give the artifact to would have a lot of cool extra attacks in close combat.
Yeah.
Then we have the Warlord trait, which is Crimson Haze, exploding 6s to hits in the fight phase for units within 6 inches. Ooh. So again, the character inspires their army to fight more, and of course that again really fits with the theme of the Novok. And I think if you have the Warlord moving for maybe a Destroyer Lord, if you had like a Destroyer Lord, because a Destroyer Lord would be a great choice because Destroyers hate life. Literally, like they love killing, and they're all a little crazy actually. And I think a Destroyer Lord with a Novok and a bunch of Wraiths and a bunch of Flayed ones and some warriors flanking, I think that would make for a really fun thematic list if somebody wanted to try that out.
Yeah. All right, so our next dynasty, the next few dynasties.
Good luck with that.
Go ahead.
I said good luck with that.
Oh, yeah, the next name. All right, here we go. It's not Dagobah.
Dagobah.
It's Ogdebek. Does that work?
Yeah.
Ogdebek.
Yeah, I think that's
all right. So the lore of this dynasty, notice I didn't say it again, has been building on their power base for. This dynasty has been building on their power base for a long time, harnessing the impressive restoration capabilities of their canoptic constructs. The vast stores of canoptic units and various war machines have been put in place by their eccentric pharaon. The Ogdebek, are now a force to be reckoned with. Their scheme's really quite interesting. It's a gold body with kind of a ruddy silver accent and a green glow. If you look in your codex, it's gold. And it's got kind of a copper to it. How about this? It's a bright gold, but it's definitely really cool. For them, since they are I don't want to call them a lesser dynasty, but they don't have dynastic code. So our recommended would be the Sawtek code.
Yeah, like if you were to come up with a narrative. If you want to come up with your own rules for them, I would almost say some kind of buff benefit to reanimation protocols for these ones.
Yeah,
because they have really impressive restoration capabilities thanks to their canoptic units. Perhaps some kind of rule that says, if they're within a certain number of inches of a unit of spiders or a unit of what do you call them? Scarabs. Give them like a +1 to their reanimate or something like that. I think that would be cool. Or maybe a Warlord trait that does that. That would be really cool if you're doing your own narrative rules for them.
Yeah.
Then we have the Nekthist. The Nekthist were a dynasty which are well known for their stubbornness and pride. When they crossed the Triarch one too many times, they were left to their own devices against a massive orc Wa. Although they made it out of that ordeal with some of their number remaining, they were severely diminished. Today, after having awakened, the rage and regret of those days remain. The Nekthist, as they are today, are seen by other Necrons as simply savages. To some degree, they're right. The dynasty has sworn off all notions of honor and duty. Their scheme is black and copper carapaces with green glow and red symbols, suggesting maybe the Novok for them, because they used to be this noble noble dynasty, but now they're angry and pissed. So I think Novok makes sense for them.
Yeah, they looking at the codex, they are like they're on the same page with the Ogdebek, and the differences in the copper gold coloring is very, very striking. I would say on that, the black and copper, the carapace, Warplock bronze, I think. And that looks like about something really dark.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next up is the Thocht. The Thocht dynasty is headquartered in the Hiraki Deeps, which are a collection of celestial bodies set in perfect dance of power and destruction. Ooh, that sounds fun. The Deeps generate powerful radiation, which the Thocht use to power everything. This gives the warriors of this dynasty a unique power signature. This is quite interesting. Unfortunately for the Thocht, like moths to a flame, Wog Bloodtruth has invaded the dynasty's outer edges, where the Thocht has engaged the orcs in a war of attrition. I'm going to be real honest. Fighting the orcs in a war of attrition is a bad idea.
It's kind of a bad look, isn't it? Like, you probably shouldn't do that.
It's the only thing I can't think that would be worse would be, the Tyranids in a war of attrition. But hey, you know, it'd be a great idea. Why don't you have the orcs and the Tyranids fight in a war of attrition? Oh, yeah.
What could possibly go wrong with that?
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? All right, so their color scheme is a traditional ruddy silver with a blue glow. So the weapons are glowing, but, also they're kind of internal organs, I guess. So it's, that silver, but there's kind of a blue glow added to it. Probably want to use a blue glaze on that. I don't know.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Have a look at that. Even if you don't use that dynasty,
the color scheme's quite nice.
It's a good example of the different kinds of color schemes you can do with Necrons if you wanted to try something a little different.
Yeah. And the suggested dynastic code would be probably the Mephirit. That'd probably be a good one.
Yeah, because they have that weird energy that they use.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so next we have the Maynarch. So this one we have a bit more information on. Because this is the dynasty that was used in Imperial Armor 12, The Fall of Orpheus. So they're led by Nemisor Kutlak, who was well known to the Necron for his cruelty and brutality. He was known as the Extinguisher of Life, or the Godslayer, and the Charnel Lord. So he sounds like a super nice guy.
Yeah, man, I'm sure he has parties at his house every weekend.
When he attacked worlds, he left them as nothing but charred husks. Kutlak's necrodermis is charred and blackened and bedecked with the skulls of his victims. His personality matches his appearance. Other Necrons can't stand to be around him, and because his mind projects this aura of seething malice.
So that kind of description, I mean, that kind of leads to this could be a really interesting army, a challenge maybe for hobbyists. But the rank and file of the Maynarch did not suffer well the long sleep either. a great many of their number succumbed to the curse of the Flayer. The Flayer was a Satan who was betrayed by the Necrons in the final days of the War in Heaven, and that being's curse affects many Necrons with a desire to consume mortal flesh. They slowly change into gaunt shadows of their former selves and bear the flesh and bones of their victims. While not all the Maynarchs are so inflicted, the dynasty is still well known for its brutal efficiency, even by Necron standards. Such was the reputation that the Sautek and the Auton dynasties tried to destroy the Mynarch, but the Silent King put an end to their plotting. In his mind, the Mynarch were a necessary evil and part of his plan for domination. The suggested dynastic code for the Novak is the Novak for the Mynarch.
Oh, so I must have copy-paste error.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, not a copy-paste error. Sorry, I'm gonna fail. Yeah, so, the Novok makes a lot of sense for them also, just because they're so angry. Yeah. And full of hate and murder. I think you're right. I think that dynasty would make for a really great hobby opportunity. Even though the color scheme is bog standard silver. Yeah. The fact that so many of them have fallen to the Flayer virus, and their warlord is also kind of out of his damn mind. Yeah. I think all of that really lends itself to a fun hobby project. Yeah. There are a lot more dynasties out there. Again, you can check any of the wikis or go through any of your old White Dwarfs. Yeah. I'll rattle off a few of them. The Alimhor dynasty subjugates the denizens of younger races and uses them as slaves. The Arabtek dynasty was responsible for releasing a shard of the Void Dragon, which ended up annihilating much of their dynasty before they could recapture it.
That sounds fun.
The Bone Kingdom of Drazak is the domain of the Flayed Ones, and only their overlord Valgul is unaffected, but that doesn't stop him from sending out packs of crazed Necrons to raid nearby systems. The Khonsu dynasty was one of the Necron factions who resisted biotransference, yet their only surviving lord Rakazan regrets his decision to bring them into the fold and works tirelessly to this day, trapping and imprisoning Catan shards. The Zantrogara dynasty scours the galaxy for a resolution to the curse of biotransference, focusing on finding the perfect biological race into which they can transfer a Necron's consciousness. Cool. So, lots of different dynasties, all with their own focus and their own things that you can use to tell your stories with. And some of these dynasties just have cool ideas for any dynasty, really. So they're great ideas for telling narratives. You don't need to use that specific dynasty. You can just use your own and just say they have. Finding a cure for biotransference, that's a very generic Necron-y thing. So you can still do that with whatever dynasty you want, to be honest. Well, Jason, I don't know about you, but I'm super glad that Games Workshop has put so much effort into fleshing out a bunch of character for the Necrons. Yeah. And I think that these dynasties really show how much more interesting the Necrons are these days than they were in the past.
Yeah, because back in previous editions, they were just kind of metal skeletons, which is cool, but there has to be more of a backstory, and I think this is a chance for them to really kind of go wild with how they've created their lore and how they're allowing us, the hobbyists, to really create our own, Necron dynasties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do think that they in the past they did want the Necrons to have character. Yeah, I just think it wasn't always executed perfectly. So But I think now they've put a lot of effort into it, and I think people really like it. And especially with kind of the dynastic abilities and stuff, I think it all really works, and I love it. I hope that everybody found that interesting. I hope that it's given you ideas on how to, breathe some life into your Necrons, or maybe it's inspired you to start your own Necron army. Let us know on Facebook or whatever, and we'll if you show us some pictures, we'll share them. All right, so why don't we take a quick break, come back, and close out the show.
I just want to invite you to Frayed Paintbrush Hobby Progress Facebook group. It is a positive group set up to motivate us to hobby and then share it with all the other members. At the beginning of the month, post up your monthly challenge on the page, and then at the end of the month, you post the completed work for all to see. No pressure, just fun among friends. Once again, that's Frayed, Frayed Paintbrush. Hope to see you there.
Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40k club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't.
This is Rob Sanders, and you're listening to the Masters of the Forge, where the world of 40k comes to life on your tabletop.
All right, thanks for sticking with us, everyone. I just want to give a couple of quick events. We have the Albany Exterminatus coming up in
August, right?
August 11th. We're doing it. It's a team tournament, so you can sign up as a team or as a individual. We'll team you up with somebody. Please get a hold of us over on our Facebook page at Upstate Honor Guard, or on the Flipside Gaming contact page on Facebook, and we'll get you signed up. I'm going to be putting up a website before too long. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to switch over to an actual website instead of this WordPress thing, or this Blogger thing. It's not really doing the trick. And we also have the Golden Sprue Cup. We're going to be doing signups for that very, very soon. I got to start working on that, because the sooner the better, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Our next episode is going to be an interesting one. Where I want to take one episode. I know it's a 40k podcast, but I want to take one episode to talk about why you should also be playing Age of Sigmar. What are the narrative benefits of getting into Age of Sigmar? It a lot of the time it might seem like it would be harder to get into the narrative of that game, but I don't think it is, and I would like to explore that a little bit more. I might even try to get an interview up in here, but we'll see. We'll see. I have to talk to some people, but I guess, Jason, unless you have anything else.
Well, we probably need to talk about how you can find us on Facebook, or leave us a nice review on iTunes, or our website, which is mastersoftheforge.com.
Yeah, please leave us a nice review on iTunes. It really helps with our rankings in the search queue. It helps people find our show, and we all want people to find the show,
right?
And
the Twitter.
More people who and Twitter too. Masters of Forge on Twitter. Great, thanks, Jason. So great. Next week or next time, we got the why you should play Sigmar. But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
That's right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing Necrons.
And Trays in the Infinite.
Yeah, don't let anybody tell you what to do. You do you. You do you.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.